Hi, and welcome again to another edition of PageCloud 101. Again, I'm your host, JP Emery, and we're going to do an implementation of a drop-down menu for desktop. Okay, so what we're seeing here right now is the drop-down menu actually implemented. We're going to go back and we're going to build it so I can show you how to do it. But for right now, you see it. There are a couple of different ones, and they drop down just on a hover over. And you can go into them, and as you leave them, they disappear like expected. See, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the editor. So I've already got them prepared here, but we're going to walk through and we're actually going to build it. So the structure, how this is structured, is it's three parts. The first part we'll do is we'll create an item. This is going to be considered the button. This is what people are going to hover over. This is your text that'll say about or resources, things like that you're looking for, like people are looking to actually find more information on. And so we can just create that. And in this case, actually, I won't use that one. I'll make a text one. Resources. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create the actual items in the list. And so the items in the list, we will just create another. We adjust its width, and in this case what we can do to make sure it's the right width is we find the actual resources length and have it line up, and then we click and drag to line it up perfectly. And PageCloud again has those nice guiders that really lock it in place. Now in this implementation they don't have to be the same width. It's not real boxy. You can actually make them wider or thinner than your button that they're hovering over. It just would require like you just going in and adjusting like where you want them positioned. It should work inherently. If it doesn't, we'll go back through it and we'll figure it out. But right now this is just straight box implementation. But to make more items, we'll go through and we'll click and drag. Click and drag. And click and drag. Okay, so we've got 4 items. Now, these 4 are important, but now we're going to move on to the final item that we're actually going to create, and that's what I'm going to call a backstop. It's what these 4 items, or 4 or more items, are going to be presented in front of. It can either be clear, like you can see through it, or you can give it a color and give it just a white background if that's what you're looking for. And all we'll do is we'll just create a blank element, line it up with these, and that should do well. That's the right width and length because we just lined up. Now, next step is naming. So using just a basic naming convention, we are using just easy like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the items are going to have consistent names. So this right here, this item is going to be labeled like a button, and if it was the 3rd menu on the page, it would be button 3. And if it was the third backstop on the page, that would be backstop 3. And so we'll see these naming conventions come to life when I actually start naming them. So you can understand how you will name these to correspond with the code that I'm about to show you. So I'll go ahead and name this backstop 3. The items, this is the third iteration of the drop-down menu. So what we'll do is it's named third title 1 because it's the first item in the list. The second one is going to be named third title 2, third title 3, and 3 title underscore 4. And all of these have underscores. Okay, and the next is the button. So this is the third button. So we're going to say button 3. Now the next, once we have everything named, then we can start to build it. Now there's another structure that we have that's going to be called a button menu. The button menu is the backstop and the actual menu items gathered together. So what we're going to do is I'm going to line them up. But first I'm going to move this back a little. How you can easily determine if something is in front of or behind is just lay them over each other, and whichever one you want on the back, just start hitting MD, and then you kind of everything falls into place. Okay, now I need to click on the backstop, hit Shift, and then click all of the items you want in your dropdown, go to Arrange, and hit Group. Now they're all grouped together. We need to name this. This is going to be button menu, and it's going to be 3 since it's the third. And you'll see that there are, it's like there are camel case rules that I'm applying here. So that's a coding term. If you're not into coding, it's fine. All it means is that generally the first word is lowercase and every word thereafter or like identifier after is uppercase. So if it's menu, so if this was ended up being button menu item 3, it would be lowercase button, uppercase M in the menu, and uppercase I for item, and then the number 3. In this case, it's just button menu, and so the menu is the M in menu is capitalized. And so that's saved. Next, for what we're doing, this one that I'm implementing is actually going to be like a free implementation. It can move anywhere on the page. It is not fixed to the top. It generally you can just leave it at the top and it will just work. But in this case, this one's going to be free. Implementations of a fixed menu are a little bit more. They require a little bit more polish. They're not ready yet, as you'll see when we actually load the page. You'll see it kind of like there are problems with how it presents. But I'll still show them to you to see how they work, so you can see how they work. And for these, you can just put them anywhere on the page, wherever you want. Let's see. The next is what we're going to do is we're going to group these items together. You can see it here as I move them around. They're all grouped. Now these are not in this example. One that I'm just moving around. It's not named. This doesn't need to be named. This just gives it like a structure so you can know where everything's going. So I select this, So resources, go to arrange, and hit group, and so now they're all in one group. Okay, so how does this work? How does it move around? What's going to happen? Well, what we're going to do, first I'm going to give this a little style. It's kind of bland. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the code that I've uploaded to the PageCloud forum, and we're going to implement this. Let me go to the code. Okay, so I have some pretty simple instructions on the code. The code itself right now allows for up to 6 drop-down menus on your page. And all you have to do, very simply, is remove these comments, these comment slashes from the code, which will enable the different iterations. So when you're looking at creating a third menu item like we are, you're going to be removing the comments from that third, from everything that has the third iteration tag. And in the code, I represent that as X whenever you're trying to find something, find the code or create more items. So like if you're trying to create 5 items in a list instead of just 4, you can remove or add based on like a little equation we have on there. It's really simple. The X just represents the next item. So if it's the 5th, X would equal 5, and you input 5 wherever X is in the code. In this case, if we're just doing 1 through 6, then it's all there. You just have to remove the comments, the comment slashes from the code, which will enable the functionality. This will be the hardest part for you, but it's very simple, and I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, so that you just have to remove some lines, remove some actual syntax, and you're good to go. So for the third one down here, we would also remove these comments. The list is kind of long, but if you just keep scrolling and looking for the 3 or the item you're looking for, it's very simple. And so this is for the second iteration. This next one down here is for the third. And so there are 3 sets here. And you keep going. And so this is for the third down here. And you keep going. And this section is for the code down here. This section as well. This one up here. And also down, and one of the final things down here is we actually have the JavaScript for it. The JavaScript is commented out a slightly different way. It's in like a block format. If you see this slash and the star, then everything after that slash will be commented out until you see an opposite star and slash. And so how to turn this on is you get rid of, you delete the star and slash, and all the code turns on. And so that iteration is done. It works. So that's third for the JavaScript at least. And there's like 1 or 2 more things. You just keep scrolling. And so here we see button menu and backstop. 3. And I think that is it for that. So we just hit escape. Now, right now it says save down here. But if you go back and forth and you're trying to test the JavaScript to try to adjust things, make it look nicer, or create a different effect than what I put in here, then sometimes that save button does not appear. Only if you only adjust JavaScript, there are times where it does not look like you need to save anything, so you might think it's saved. Well, it hasn't been. So, as a good rule of thumb, whenever you've adjusted JavaScript, go ahead and hit Control S, and that will save your page regardless of whether or not that save button is actually highlighted. So now we're going to go to the page and hopefully this works. And so we load. And it doesn't. Looks like I might have missed something in the comment. So we'll go back. Maybe. So when something like this happens, you might need to search the code, and this is a good opportunity to show you really cool. The code itself is actually you can control F it. So I can hit control F and actually search through the entire code. So if I'm looking for backstop, which is what looks like is going wrong, something's going wrong with, I can type in backstop, and it will search for backstop. What I think happened was I didn't capitalize the S in backstop for the actual identifier. That's why it's not doing anything. It has some identifiers attached to it, but not everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit, go here, double click on the actual group. You'll notice this is the group for button menu 3, but I have to get inside of it. And so since the backstop menu is behind, I'm going to move that item away and actually get it. And so backstop 3, and lo and behold, the S is not capitalized. And so I capitalize it, click outside of it, but I want that item to go back, and so I just click a couple times and it gets me through the group syntax, replace it. I hit save. Reload. And it works. Look at that. It's beautiful. Now, there are a couple of things I wanted to show you. Now, when we group items, this is an example. This CSS for this item right here is the style we input here in the actual PageCloud editor. When you're doing my implementation, it strips away group style. So if your elements are grouped and you're styling them on the group side, like when they're all grouped together, then this style is going to be stripped away when it's actually loaded. We can see that when we're on the page and this one loads. And you see that it drops down and it doesn't have any of the CSS, any of that color that you're looking for, that I was looking for. And so what you'll do is the individual elements inside the group is what you have to style. So if I want to go in and style the backstop, I click on the actual backstop until I see the data for the backstop, and then I style it change the opacity. Now the group itself, I'm going to remove its style so it's not bugging me. And finally, I'm going to move the is back in. Sometimes it can be a little touchy where it doesn't line up perfectly. In this case, all you need to do is use the arrow keys on your keyboard and it will realign it for you. And as you can move it like pixel by pixel and it will realign it for you. Okay, so now I'll hit save. And you see the CSS transfers because it's the CSS of the actual element, not of the group. And the same applies to any of these items. And so when you do these, this one, as you can see, this one scrolls with the page, the resources. But the hover overs, they travel with it. you'll notice right here the resource is actually in front of the actual nav bar. You want to be conscious when you do this of the positioning in like the third dimension. So the third dimension being the resources is actually in front of everything. So what you do is you just hit MB on that element and it will move it to the back. When you're doing a fixed menu that travels across the screen, you have to always make sure it's in the front. One little nuance that you'll need to know is that if you, when you're editing your page, if you like control drag and create new elements, any new elements created are like thrown to the front of the page, almost to the front. And so they can, if you edit your page and you have a fixed menu and you keep scrolling, those menu items will actually like cross over the top and that create a bad experience or bad CSS. And what you just have to do is be conscious of that whenever you control and copy things, or just Control C or Control V, and that will allow you to make sure that they're behind the nav bar that you've created. So again, it's a really simple implementation. You can find all the code on PageCloud forum under like the video tutorials or under the drop-down menu. I'll post it there with both of them. The code's kind of big. Don't be afraid of it. It's very simple. If you have a question, please ask. And again, this was another edition of PageCloud 101. Again, my name is JP Emery. It's been my pleasure, and I hope you like.